Click for IB Biology. Here we're looking at magnification. There's a PDF, a blank PDF, down in the description that you can use for your own notes, and there you'll also find 10 questions with answers to test your understanding. There's also a worksheet there so students can practice these magnification calculations. Now, the reason for the consideration of magnification, of course, is that all living things are composed of cells, but those cells are very small, and indeed the component parts of those cells even smaller. So we start to work with different scales. Instead of millimeters that we would be using for measurements with our eyes, we start to use our light microscopes, and we're working in micrometers. So 1 millimeter equals 1,000 micrometers, and we can see all sorts of detail using our microscope. No doubt that you've done this. You can see cells, you might have some evidence of their internal organelles, and even things like bacterial cells. But we're going to go further, and using images from electron microscopes called micrographs, we're going to be taking our scale sizes down into the nanometers. And so then we're starting to image even down to the molecular structures of which things are composed. And at this end of the spectrum, there are more advanced techniques being used today, and I'll mention some of those in the next video, where we look at electron microscopes. So let's just take a look at the challenges of magnification. And as I said, there's a worksheet in the description that you can use to do some practice, and of course the answers, worked answers, are there. But here's the key formula, that if we have the actual size, that can be calculated by taking the measured length and dividing by the magnification. Let's see that in action. So we have here an image of a cell, and on my drawing, which I have on a piece of paper in front of me, I need to take a ruler. Now, it's critical that students learn to make very, very accurate measurements with their rulers. Don't round things up. Be very, very careful to be as accurate as possible. So I've done this, and I determined that the length of the object, the cell, on my drawing was 450 millimeters. I'm going to put that in there to the formula. I'm aware from the information on the drawing that it recorded the magnification was 15,000. You would need to know that, and so I could put that here. And then the division tells me that the true length of the cell is a mere 0.3 of a millimeter, so 3/100ths of a millimeter, but that's an inconvenient scale. And so what we're going to do is we're going to convert that up into micrometers by multiplying by 1,000. Remember, 1 millimeter equals 1,000 micrometers. So multiply by 1,000, and we end up with the knowledge that the cell is 30 micrometers in length. This is a very common multiple choice question. An image presented, you have to measure the actual length. It gives you the magnification, and you're expected to do that accurately. Alternatively, we may get the image like this one with the scale bar effect, in which we're given this item here called the scale bar, and so what we need to do is calculate the scaling effect. Now, this can only be done on paper. It can't be done on computer screens because of the changes in magnification which occur there. So in my image here in front of me, I've measured this scale bar at 2 centimeters. So I'm going to change that, of course, to 20 millimeters, and I know that this is really worth 20 micrometers. And so now I have a scaling effect, which is that 1 millimeter on the drawing equals 1 micrometer for real. And so now it would be necessary for me to take a ruler and to measure this length very, very carefully, which again I can't do on the screen. But let's argue that, for instance, it comes out at 85 millimeters, and therefore I would record the drawing, the actual size of the image to be 85 micrometers, like so. So again, this is a common thing to have to do in the laboratory, but also it's a classic examination multiple choice question. And so I've left you some student activity worksheets in the description so that you can practice these yourself. So links to the next video on electron microscopy, to the channel and to the playlist are now appearing in front of you. Click those as necessary,